There is a law in psychology that if you form a picture in your mind of what you would like to be, and you keep and hold that picture there long enough, you will soon become exactly as you have been thinking. William James. A very good morning to all virtual present in this fifth edition of Faculty Development Program on accentuating the importance of amalgamation of related disciplines in the domain of law. I, Dr. Anuj Sharma, Assistant Professor, Amity Law School, welcome you all. The theme for this 10th technical session is Psychology and Public Policy and Law. And the guest speaker for this session is Professor S.Z.H. Jayadi sir. At the outset, I would like to hand over the forum to Professor Dr. J.P. Yadav, Director, Amity Law School, Amity University, Lucknow, for the welcome of our guest. Now, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Anuj. Good morning to one and all present on this virtual platforms. At the outset, on behalf of Amity Law School, Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Lucknow, I would like to welcome honorable guest speaker, Professor Jayadi. Professor Jayadi is a leader of psychology and he's a renowned psychologist across the India. And we are enough fortunate that we are working as a colleague of Professor Jayadi. And sir, your hearty welcome on behalf of Amity Law School, Amity University, Lucknow, and also the Amity Universe on the 5th National Faculty Development Programs on the theme accentuating the importance of the amalgamation of related discipline in the domain of law. And we cannot ignore the importance of the psychology subject in the law domain. In fact, in Amity Law School, psychology as a core subject, we taught in first year and second year. So the relevance of your lecture is very, very fruitful for today. And
you are mute, Dr. Yadav, you are mute.
Sir, Director, sir. Sir, you are muted. Sir, you are mute. Sir, Director, sir, you are mute.
I will do carry forward your session.
Okay, sure, sir. Sure. Thank you. I feel extremely honored to introduce to all of you our esteemed guest and today's speaker, Professor S.Z.H. Jayadi, sir. Zafar Jayadi, sir, is currently positioned as Professor and Head of the Department of Clinical Psychology and Director, Amity Institute of Behavioral and Allied Science in Amity University, Uttar Pradesh, Lucknow campus. He is a licensed clinical psychologist with more than 45 years of rich experience and clinical practice. And sir has trained in Central Institute of Psychiatry, Ranchi, Nimans, Bangalore, and Mental Health Department of Strathclyde Council, Glasgow, UK. Prior to joining Amity University, he has worked as faculty in CIP Ranchi, Deputy Director Rehabilitation, Head of the Institution, Government of India, Ministry of Labour and Employment, Executive Director, NAB, Mumbai, and Consultant Clinical Psychologist in Indian Air Force Station, Memora, Lucknow. He is visiting faculty of CIP Ranchi, Mumbai University, Tata Institute of Social Science, Mumbai, and many other national universities or institutes. He has been appointed as a member, Zonal Coordination Committee of Rehabilitation Council of India, New Delhi for the Central Zone, UP and Uttarakhand. Sir has edited book titled COVID-19 Biopsychosocial Perspective, several research publications and book chapters to his credit. He is ex-editor, Indian Journal of Clinical Psychology, official publication of Indian Association of Clinical Psychology. Sir is also the recipient of National Award in Empowerment of Persons and Disabilities. He was honored by the President, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, sir. He and CS Kang Oration Award for his contribution in promotion of clinical psychology in India. Now, without taking much time now, I hand over the session to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Anuj. Am I audible to you all?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, when I was asked to speak on the session of amalgamation of law faculty with other discipline, I thought it is a very appropriate time when we are talking about multidisciplinary approach in our teaching process, as well as when we see that the way the society is getting complicated and the situation is getting complicated and the future is absolutely uncertain. So we have to train our students and faculty to understand the contribution of various sciences discipline. And so I thought of being more practical and functional in our presentation today. And one of the area which I thought that I should talk about you is issues related to workplace and mental health. You being the protector of Constitution first and thereafter the right of human rights, you should know, your faculty should know, your students should know what are the ways how the society and the people, irresponsible employers and others, might create a situation which might lead to litigation, because your subject is litigation and resolution of litigations. So what could be the various things for which you might be involved, or your services might be requisited by different agencies? So I thought of talking about mental health at workplace. Saji sir, can you share PPT?
Yes, sir, in a moment.
Would it be, or yes, thanks Sajid. Yes, at this point only. And this presentation should also facilitate your understanding about your own mental health and mental health of your colleagues and your students and the place where you are working, and should be in a position to identify or sensitize you to identify various components which might lead to some mental health issues, so that you can work not only as the preacher, but as the preventive measures, primary prevention, which is the earliest indicators and earliest identification of issues which might take a problem subsequently. So next. You see, WHO talks about health. And we think by and large that if we are not running fever, if we're not coughing, if we're not having loose motions, we are fine, we are healthy. And if we are gaining weight and everything is fine, we are perfectly all right. But it's not the fact. It's अर्ध सत्य कि अगर हमें बुखार नहीं है तो हम ठीक हैं, ये अर्ध सत्य है, हाफ ट्रू है. The पूर्ण सत्य ये है कि health is a state of physical, psychological and social well-being, and not only absence of disease or symptoms. I am perfectly all right, but yaar kya kare, I am not feeling good from within. I eat well, I sleep well, I have no other issues, my blood pressure is also fine, but I don't feel like meeting to anybody. Or I am not concerned about what is going on to my neighbor and what is going on to other person's co-citizen who is living or who is in the trouble. So it means that you might be physically okay, parameter-wise, but your psyche, your psychological makeup, your thinking process, your cognitive process, your emotional maturity, or your socialization is not absolutely in order, and you have to work on that. You have to look at that. So the health definition as per WHO is health is a state of physical, psychological, and social well-being, and not only absence of disease or symptoms. If you do not have any symptom, it doesn't mean that you are perfectly all right. You have to look at your psychological reactions on the other sorrow and joy and the social interactions. Next. WHO has also given a very, very good definition on psychological well-being. What is mental health issues? Everyone in our life feel that there is something wrong going on, and which is not very healthy sign, or which is not very good thing, which is creating a lot of adjustment issues, but we do not talk about it. talking about mental health is still a taboo, is still under the coverage, under the hijab, under the coverage of so many things. But it requires detailed discussions. It requires, first of all, that what is psychological well-being. WHO says that mental health or psychological well-being is a state of well-being in which every individual realize her own potentials. How many of you are aware that what you can do or what you cannot do it? And this is very much important when we make a life plan or when we make a career plan, and when we refuse or when we accept anything blindly without realizing, without introspections. We are not aware of our potential. Many times we feel depressed and we feel frustrated. Either we underestimate ourselves or we overestimate ourselves or others, not only ourselves, others, that he can do even this, he can do even this, and he is not in a position to do anything of it. Then we start, and he can do many other things except this particular job. So we start undermining, underrating my colleagues and vice versa. So one should know how to realize potentials of self particularly and others. Can cope up with normal stresses of life. Now the question is, you know the stress, but what is the normal stress? We know the parameters have normal blood pressure, normal health issues, that this should be the blood pressure and this should be the sugar level, this should be the weight, this should be the height, and this should be this and that and all these things. Your hemoglobin level should be this, and your other parameters are fully aware and discussed and propagated, and we are all aware of it. But what is normal level of stress? Up to which point stress is manageable and to which point stress is non-manageable? Am I audible to you all?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very much.
sir.
Very much.
Yes.
Thank you.
So for a very simple example, you take a piece of rubber band. You try to stretch it out. For one point, up to one point, you will not find any changes in the surface of the rubber band. But subsequently, you will start seeing that there is some wrinkles coming out on the rubber band. But you keep on stretching, you keep on stretching, you keep on putting the stress on this. At one point of time, you will realize it is at the breaking point. The wrinkles, the white wrinkles, which was invisible to begin with, is now visible, and it is very markedly visible. And at one point, it is broken out. So is the parameter, so is the test of assessing the stress. Mild stress is bearable and it is enjoyable rather for everybody. When I was joining this session right now, I had a stress whether I will be able to show the PPT or not, whether connectivity would be okay, whether my voice would not be discontinued, would not be broken, and all these things. But it was not beyond the point of management. I requested my colleague Sajid to join me, and the moment he said, yes, I'm available, I'll join you, my stress is reduced. So no more stress at that point, whether I will be able to show you your PPT, which I have made with a lot of efforts and spending that time on all these things. So it was a normal stress. But if the stress is increasing and it is a point of breaking, it becomes problematic. And I will be telling you that what are the indicators that the stress of your workplace stress or the stress of any worker is increasing and requires your intervention, a professional intervention. The second, can productively, and he should continue, your stress should not cause hindrance in your normal productivity. The way you have been working all these years, the way you have been performing your jobs, it is not that the allowing a chirag, any assignment is given to you, you will say that yes, I will do it. And if you're not in a position to do it, you should start feeling that it's all because of stress. No, anything which has been, your regular activity, the thing which you have been doing all these years, is the work productivity. You can maintain it and able to make contribution to your community. And you are a useful individual. You continue to be the useful individual. So if anything is impairment on anything of all this thing, your productivity, your contribution to the community, your stress tolerance, then it shows that it is causing an inconvenience, and your mental health or psychological well-being is slightly impaired, or it is impairing. And when we talk about well-being, state of well-being, it is well-being from within. It is not drug-induced well-being. See here, I mean, consider the age, consider the resources, which physical resources, the age strength, which they might have at this age, 70 plus, approaching 80. But see the facial expression, because the happiness is coming from within. There is no drug-induced happiness which can be omitted or could be deleted by the time. Nowadays, unfortunately, our youth and many people are purchasing the health well-being through different sources. And that will continue, only till that bottle or the tablets is working. But here the well-being is from within. So when we talk about well-being, we talk the well-being from within. And see, reverse to this. Next slide. I wish I could also be everything is in her favor. Age, beauty, resources, seems to be a person of financially well off, but see her facial expression. Perhaps the well-being is missing over here, and so is the quite obvious anxiety, depression particularly is visible on her face, in spite of everything available. It's just like that somebody is standing near the river bank and feeling thirsty. You nadi mein hu, phir bhi pyasa hu main. It's the same thing, that she is thirsty in spite of standing near the river bank. She has everything in her favor, but not happiness, not the well-being, because of various reasons, maybe because of various reasons. Next. What WHO says about mental health at workplace. Now I am addressing to the Vakil Sahiban, that the teachers of futures lawyers, the futures protector of constitution and human rights, that quite often the work conditions, workplaces are not following something which is very much essential. We only talk about the safety devices. We talk a lot about safety precautions, that the switch off karne ka hai ya nahi hai, fire brigade ka system hai ya nahi hai, vacuum cleaner hai ya nahi hai, dust is clean ho raha nahi ho raha. That is only one part of the work safety places. But there are many other parameters which make a workplace healthy and well-being related, or may not be very healthy or not be very well-being. WHO says that a healthy workplace can be described as one where workers and managers actively contribute to the working environment. When both managers and, manager here, I mean that employers, bosses, the person who makes a difference, and the workers contribute to working environment by promoting and protecting the health, safety, and well-being of all the employees. It is already explained, health safety measures, where the precautions are taking place. You know that the gas tragedy and many other industrial accidents, it's not only that the carbide gas tragedy of Bhopal was once happened and has gone away. It is still traumatizing the person who are entering into that situations. It has left very, very long, more than 40, 50 years has passed away. I remember when it was happened, I was doing my internship in the CIP, and when this overnight this thing has happened, and a team of our volunteers, students, and the faculty were rushed to the Bhopal for taking care of the emotional and the psychological need of the victims. And the person who has been volunteered there, my own colleagues, my teachers, are still having the blues and are still having the imaginations of those conditions which they have seen over there. So the well-being of the employees and the workplace casual attitude and non-contributory factors are very much important at workplace, and that has to be taken place. Promote mental health by developing the positive aspects of work and strength of the employees. It happens sometime that during a workplace, the employers or employee both only negatively perceive, negatively criticize एक दूसरे को सिर्फ और सिर्फ negatively evaluate करते हैं, and which ultimately consequentially creates a very negative attitude, negative work conditions. And this is very much damaging, and we have to take care of this aspect as well. Next. Some facts about work conditions and mental health. Work is good for mental health, but a negative working environment can lead to the physical and mental problems. You just visualize a person who is unemployed. You just utilize a youth and a person who is unemployed, has no agenda of the day. I mean, how pathetic he would be feeling. The moment you place an individual, you transforms his entire personality. He takes a new shape. He becomes absolutely a new person. His confidence level, his presentation, his appearance, every day-to-day chorus, his routine is totally changed. So work is very important. Work is very important for elevating the mental health. But on the other hand, negative working conditions can lead to the physical and mental health problems. I remember that once I was then in Patna, regional director of rehabilitation, a hearing impaired person, two hearing impaired person was placed in banks. One was in Union Bank of India and another was in one of the corporations. When I went for the follow-up, I saw that the gentleman who was placed in Union Bank was full of life, full of joy, highly energetic, and was running here and there and was making, though he was sub-staff, but he was sitting on the chair also. And I quietly observed, without sharing that who am I, without sharing anything with his manager and all this, I simply quite just like any customer. And I was observing and I saw him going here and then everywhere. But on the other hand, when I went to the place where that lady hearing impaired person was placed on the same level of work, that it was sub-staff, she was simply sitting and knitting the sweater. And when she saw me, she became so furious, so angry. In her sign language, she explained that you have not given me a job, you have not provided me, you have not helped me out. Rather, you have put me in a very embarrassing condition where I have to sit here. Nobody is taking the job. Nobody is communicating with me. I'm absolutely useless. It has proved that I have no work to do because nobody is giving me the job. Subsequently, I talked to the manager of both. The bank manager said, sir, I tried to communicate. I tried to learn the sign language. I developed so many signs and the signals in my office, and he found to be absolutely at par to any other person. And the manager of that lady, she said, sir, she बोल ही नहीं पाती, समझ नहीं पाती, मैं इसके लिए क्या, जितनी देर में इसको मैं समझाऊंगी उतनी देर में मैं खुद झाड़ उठ के काम कर लेती हूँ. So you could see that the working condition which was created by bank was very, very positive, and the person was very healthy and happy of that work which they have got. And the place where the lady was there, she was taking employment as a curse, not as the blessings. So this is there. Second point, depression and anxiety have a significant economic impact. The estimated cost to the global economic is very high, trillions, if the person is not employed. On the other hand, if the person is depressed or anxiety, means if the person is not in a good mental health, his productivity is reduced, which might cause in trillions in the economy and the productivity of globally. Harassment and bullying at work are commonly reported. Problem can have a substantial adverse impact on mental health. Campus is free from ragging, but not the workplace. Sorry to say this thing. All type of comments. Sajid, continue with it. All type of comments, all type of bullying, all type of harassment, all type of the new joiners, give him this job, this job, this job, जितना भी job जो नहीं कर रहा है वो सब उसको लपेट दीजिए. All type of comments, and this may leads to sometime violation of human rights, because that the working hours, the long-term working hours, not having the basic essential facilities might create a person may compel him to feel harassed, exploited, and nobody would like to be exploited with good mental health. If any sign of exploitation is there, if you cannot react physically because of your work condition, because of your helplessness, if I talk about against the exploitation, my employer would take me in a bad shape, and I might be separated, I might be, rejected. So definitely, if you cannot do this physically, openly, you will feel very bad, and it might lead to poor mental health reactions. There are many effective actions that organizations can take to promote mental health in the workplace. Such actions may also benefit productivity. Reverse to this. When the research proves that negative mental health, negative conditions, work conditions, violation of human rights may lead to mental health issues, research also suggests that wherever slightest good situation, slightest positive environment has been created, the productivity has increased multifold. So these are some of the facts which I thought I should share with you. Next. Sajid, next. A risk factor. You should also know that what are the risk factors, because you might be your own employer, you might be your employees, you might be the standing before court of law for any employer-employee side. So you should know what are the risk of things. The first is that inadequate health and safety policies. There is no policy in that government. There is no policy in the job place or the organization where the person is working. What this safety policies, health policies gives you immediately, it gives you psychological security. It gives you social security. The very name of these policies, whether it is PF or whether it is insurance policy, whether it is health insurance or private fund, it is all of social security. If something has happened, if I'm working in the shop floor, if I'm working before the very fast running machine, if I get injury, what will be my, and particularly in Indian setup, I think you will agree with me. I hope that I'm not very fast. Dr. Sharma, am I okay in my speed?
Yes, sir. It's all right, sir. You're going good.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So particularly in Indian scenario, we are living in a vertical society. Vertical society means when I and my wife stands, we are concerned about our senior generation, our parents, and also concerned about our junior generations, that is our children. So we are vertically, we are not living horizontally. that I and only I. Indian culture is a vertical culture. So the social security, whenever we join any job, the first thing, the pleasure of joining the job is also linked with the government policy or the university policy or the policy of workplace, and how much secured the job is, how much secured, not in terms of that I do not do anything and my job will continue. No, that is not the security. That is not available anywhere. If you have to continue with your job, you have to perform. But if anything happens, what will be my fate? What will be, who will take care of my future, my children, and all these things? So inadequate health and safety policies are one of the high risk. If it is there, the mental health issues are likely to be less. And if it is not there, it is relatively higher side. Poor communication and management practices. Communication is a very important thing, whether it is a workplace or otherwise in your personal life as well. There are many couple, husband and wife, they are living for years together, but they do not know each other. Very unfortunately. They are living together from years together. They're talking, they're fighting, they're doing everything. They're having good sex relations, but they do not know each other. What are their things? What are their preferences? What are their objectives? What are their policy? What are their approach? There is always a gap. So when we talk about the management and employees communication, we mean that there is no platform to express yourself. Honest expressions. Sir is very good, very good, very good. Not all the time reading of CV that he is so good in the job place. No. We should be in a position, we should create a platform where both the parties, employers as well as employee, can communicate, can say, no, you are wrong, but properly. Assertiveness is that the training of a person to say no, but how to say no. It's not only that, is to say no only, how to say no. So where the communication is not very good, there is very high risk for mental issues. Next, limited participation and decision making, or low control over one's own area of work. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but you being a vakil and the teachers of wakalat, you should know that there has been a government policy of labor's participation, employees participations, workers participation in management, and many good corporate sectors has applied it and got the result, where every major decision is being done in consultation with all the corners, all the stakeholders. We have in Amity University, we have that system of feedback and opinion of students and the guardians and parents and the academicians and the practitioners and industry in finalizing the course curriculum and board of studies and area specific experts committee, advisory committee. So the similar way that participation of every rank will give definite positive impact and minimize the stress level, that because he is aware that whatever government or whatever the industry or the employer is going to decide, he is aware and it has been discussed in good sense. And when we talk about discussion, it's not only the eye washing. It's not only eye washing, not only recording the minutes. There should be a genuine discussions. And if it is there, the high risk factors are comparatively low. Low level of support for employees. Support system. I've already talked to support in all respect. Physical support, particularly emotional support, that they should know that. You should know that the employees or employers are with you beyond the sharing of RIP in the WhatsApp group. I'm not undermining all this thing. Please do not take me otherwise. What I mean that it has to be a very genuine and closed circuit. It's not only just for formalities. I'm sorry, you might take me in otherwise. It is not only the formality. Everywhere it is mentioned that no mask, no entry. How many of us are following that? No mask, no entry slogan. So when we talk about low level of support, should not be only slogan level. It should be functional and practical. Next. Sajid, next. Inflexible working hours. Person should know. Could it be 7, 8, 9 hours, depending upon the nature of job? There are some jobs which are long duty hours, but should be well defined. It is not that I have some assignment agreement, I have to go with my family for a quality time, or I have decided to visit my relatives, or my son is waiting for me to come back at 5:30 or 6. And after reaching by 4:30, I'm told that you may have to stay back for another 2-3 hours. So how long it will continue? So inflexible working hours might also be a high risk. Unclear tasks or organizational objectives. Where we are leading to? Because if any employer is considering that the employee's ownership has to be there, so the objective has to be shared. Objective has to be decided scientifically, not only by one way decision. A risk may also related to the job content, such as unsuitable tasks for the person's competence to hire. Sometimes underemployment is very, very clean. You know what is underemployment? There are 2 things, 3 things. I'm sure that you would be knowing that employment is that employment you are working. Unemployment is another extreme. When you are not working, there is no source of income, there is no source of salary, there is no engagement, economic engagement. And underemployment, that you are fit for much better job or altogether different jobs. Vice versa also. Sometimes the person has been placed in a level for which he himself is aware that not fit enough, not neither so much qualified nor experienced, but somehow the other he has been. So it is also creating a lot of anxiety, because all the time he is worried to prove himself. All the time he is worried to prove himself if he is not properly employed as per his qualification. And on the other hand, all the time he has to bear with it, that I know that I am of this caliber, I am of this level, but I am not getting it, the job, proper job. So underemployment, overemployment, both are problematic and might create mental health issues. Some jobs may carry higher personal risk than others, first responders and humanitarians. Sometimes job is very risky, and if it is being given, even if it is on informed consent, it's not that at the time of recruitment, I have not shared the job profile. Sharing the job profile is mandatory for all the employees. So if I have not shared the job profile, and the profile which is being given to him is of altogether different, and it is a very high risk personnel, and for which he has to be responsible. So that might create a continuous anxiety, and continuous anxiety may reduce the potentials and productivity of individuals. Next, Ajit sir. What are the indicators? As I told you in the beginning itself, that when you stretch a rubber, you will see that at up to one point, it is okay, there is no change. But subsequently, you start seeing that same rubber band is showing the white wrinkles, and the wrinkles becoming more choda, and one point of time it breaks. So what are the indicators of psychological well-being, which a person himself might, which a person you yourself may feel it, self-report system people, for which no psychological investigation is required. And I have given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 early indicators, and which starts with feeling well. If you are feeling well, in spite of all these things, in spite of all uncertainty and job profiles and all these things, if your individual is feeling well, it's perfectly all right. it means that you are enjoying at the end of the day. If you are feeling contented, if you are feeling quite satisfied, it means that your job profile, and though it looks very heavy and very hazardous, but it is perfectly all right so far your mental health is concerned, because you are still feeling well. And if it is not, in spite of having very good salary packages and all these things, if at the end of the day you are not feeling very good, you are feeling slightly anxious and uncertainty and restless and not able to explain yourself, and if somebody is asking how are you, ठीक है चल रहा है, चलचे, बंगाली में कहते हैं चलचे, कोई रकम चलचे, एक रकम चलचे, कि somehow or the other I am simply pulling on. So if that feeling is there somehow, it means that there is a big question mark in your mental health. Sleeping well, earliest indicators that if your issues, mental health stress are there, your sleep get disturbed. But it's not only once. एक दिन तो आपके अभी 4-5 दिन थोड़ी बहुत जबरदस्त गर्मी पड़ी थी, तो I don't think that anybody has slept in night properly. It doesn't mean that you were stressed. There was situational weathering conditions, but when there is everything is absolutely normal, your bed is same, your room is same, your companion is same, light is same, temperature is same, still you are not feeling good sleep. Sorry. And not only once, perpetually for few nights, it means that now your sleep is costing you. Your stress is costing your sleeps. Eating well. Again, मन अच्छा तो जग अच्छा. लोग कहते हैं ना कि ये सब खाना खाने का मन नहीं कर रहा, जब मन ही अच्छा नहीं है तो खाना क्या, खाने में कोई टेस्ट नहीं, कोई स्वाद नहीं. So if your appetite is reducing, if you don't feel like eating, you're not getting any taste to your food, which otherwise you were appreciating. It's not that some food or some recipe which is absolutely new. You might like, you may not like it. You might take the food, you may not take the food at all. So not with that conditions, but the same way, if you are not feeling satiated, tripped, जिसे कहते हैं खाना खा के, if you are not feeling tripti, or you are not feel like eating anymore, or your appetite is reduced to 1 bread or 2 breads, it means that it is disturbed. And particularly for children, if the child is well, the first indicator that child is not keeping healthy, when you stop taking milk and not eating properly. So that continues even for adults. Doing well means that your work performance, you are committing errors, you are committing mistakes. You were known to be very, very punctual. You were known to be very accurate, very precise workers. But you are also realizing that now I am committing errors. And errors are being repeated. One-time commission of errors is not a problem, but it is being repeated. Yesterday also my boss pointed it out. And today also I have done the same errors. It means that you are not concentrating your job. Not doing well means your psychomotor activities, your reactivities, your reactions time, your concentration, your feeling of well-being from work conditions is impairing gradually. And again, the same way, the rubber strips, the rubber band is now showing the line of white lines more prominently. Playing well. When I talk about playing well, means the leisure time activity. चिल्ड्रन के लिए कॉमन है कि ईटिंग वेल, प्लेइंग वेल, कि आप बच्चों के लिए पहला इंडिकेटर वो खाना उसने बंद कर दिया, दूध पीना बंद कर दिया, और दूसरा उसने खेलना बंद कर दिया. अगर ये 2 चीजें हैं, तो मीन्स द चाइल्ड इज नॉट वेरी हैप्पी, इज नॉट कीपिंग वेल. So for you, playing well, that obviously if somebody is playing or walking, going for a walk and all this, and whatever is the hobby, because hobby gives you pleasure, not habit. Habit or hobby mein fark hai. Hobby is always positive and give you very positive things. Habit to sharab peene ki bhi hoti hai. And you are fully aware that after taking this, what are the consequences, what are the damages which you might cause for yourself and your family. So habit to gutke ke bhi hoti hai. You are fully aware that it is not good thing, but you are you are compulsively taking these things. So when I talk about the hobby is always positive engagement in an activity which might give you a lot of pleasures and well-being. So if you are not enjoying, you have been enjoying the music as a hobby, not the same music is not giving you any pleasure. You were doing the gardening, reading magazines, books, and all these things. If all these things is impaired, it means that you are not continuing the same mental health. Meeting well means socializations. No compulsive meeting. That now it is order 4:30 baje aapko meeting mein jana hai to jana hai. Not like this. When you are willing to go and meet your neighbor, when you are willing to go and meet your friends, and when you enjoy meeting, we are inviting people at your home or visiting people at your home. Meeting well means the socialization, your community commitments. If it is impairing, you are not somebody, some happening is taking place in your next door neighbor, or you are not feeling like going there to inquire what has happened there. So this is, if it is there, it shows your good mental health. If it is not there, it is an early indicator. And mating means the sexual activities. Sexual activities, not only those sex which is performed after marriage, are legal coitus activities. The sexual desires, getting impulses, getting feeling, getting changes in your body part. I'm seeing various pictures and talking of the sex, erotic movies and erotic expressions of others. So if it is impaired, it means there is something. Please switch off your mic.
Participant, please switch off your mic.
Sajid, next, please. Now the warning sign of mental health observation based. The first one was the self-report system. When you yourself will report, sir, I'm feeling this thing, or you yourself will realize introspections. Now the person is not saying anything, but you are your colleague, your students, particularly for teachers, I'm telling you all these things. That I have been thinking of arranging a session with all the faculty of the department, not on department, the campus, because these are something which every teacher should know. That 6 warning signs of mental health issues, risk or changes, which is based on your good observation. The number one, change in personality. If someone is acting like a very different person, you know that the boy has been, or the person has been, your colleague has been very, very docile, very courteous and very sober. But suddenly you are seeing that gradually or suddenly he is becoming irritated, he is becoming very stubborn, he is disobedient, he is arguing, he is giving you back answers. This is the indicators that perhaps there is a change in his mental set, and that is why that is reflecting through his behavior and through personality point of view. Next is unexplained anxiety, anger, and moodiness. Unexplained. If there is a शदीद बारिश हो रही है, तूफानी कैफियत है, और आप ऐसी जहां पर हैं ना कि आपके पास कोई शेल्टर है, ना कोई आपका छाता है, ना आप, and there's every chance that you would be heavily stuck up in a very dangerous rain. Your anxiety is very well explained. Your physiological changes, your palpitations, your blood pressures, and all this thing changes. Your blood sugar has changed, has shoot up. It is all the time explained. Yes, you are stuck up in the situation which is highly horrible, traumatized situations. But if it is unexplained, for no reason, you are standing in a very comfortable position, sitting in a room, very ventilated, having all type of comfort, still you are feeling palpitation, जिसे कहते हैं हमारे बड़ा common word इस्तेमाल होने लगा स्टूडेंट्स के बीच में कि पैनिक अटैक आ रहा है. एक ये नया टर्म यूज हो रहा है स्टूडेंट्स के बीच में, पैनिक अटैक आ रहा है. Everything is panic attack, which is not there. Panic is absolutely different things. So if the person is reporting, or you are seeing that the person is restless and he is weeping, he is crying and all these things, then it's something very unexplained. And moodiness, the flexibility of change, that he sometimes is very happy, sometimes is very, very angry, very sad, if the flexibility is there. And the next is social withdrawal and isolation. The person who has been very, very socially mixable and charming person and was practical and is hero of the group, star of the group, where everybody was attracted, everybody was guided. What is the role of a star? Polar star guides other stars, where even yourself, that where is the directions. So if he has been given the directions to others, but now suddenly there's something wrong, that he is isolated and somebody is going to talk to him, he is not responding, he is feeling very, very isolated. So it means that there's something wrong with this person. Some wrong thing has started taking place. So these are the indicators which one should mind. Two more is there. Yes, Sajid sir. Lack of self-care or risky behavior. This is another thing. That if you find anybody in your colleagues or your students or your family members even, that he is not taking care of himself. He has been very tightly neat and clean and not shaving and not on Saturday, Sunday, which is not only the working holiday, but many people enjoy it as a shaving holiday and even the extreme season, nahane ka bhi holiday mana lete hain, not for that point of view. But perpetually, he is not cutting the nails, not brushing their teeth and not washing properly, and he's absolutely careless. Or he's find himself to indulging in risky behavior. He's cutting something and he's not realizing that he might cut his finger. A self-injurious behavior. Self-injurious behavior, not leading to suicide. There's two conditions. One is self-injurious behavior leading to suicide, and another is self-injurious behavior not leading to suicide, and which has again become very common. That ये आपके नस काटने की जो अब नया प्रथा स्टार्ट हुई है कि बात के ऊपर जरा से किसी से ब्रेकअप हो गया, किसी ने अगर 2 बार टेलीफोन रिस्पांस नहीं किया, तो they cut their vein and take the selfie and show it. To that extent, they send to the person who has not responded to his or her call. His and her both are involved into this, and we are getting a lot of such cases in our counseling section. So lack of self-care or risky behavior, and he or she is not in a position to explain. That is the best part. If the one is not taking bath, he can say that I'm running fever. So all justification. Or I have cut my vein because of some accidents. It's fine, it's taken. But the person is not at all concerned and bothered, cannot justify in any way. Then next is sense of hopelessness or feeling overwhelmed. Suddenly the one who has been talking very high, ये project बनाएंगे, वो project बनाएंगे, submission करेंगे, ऐसा करेंगे, वैसा करेंगे, and suddenly you are noticing that यार इसमें तो कोई, there is nothing, he is just like a dehydrated so far the hope is concerned. Inertia, emotional dehydration is called as inertia, when there is nothing is left out and the person is feeling overwhelmed, बात में बड़ा emotional हो रहा है and tearful हो रहा है, and he is absolutely, another point, he is hopeless, that nothing is left out. I'm using the word psychological inertia, psychological dehydration, when there is nothing, no life, psychological life, inspiration is left out. So these are the indicators, and gradual but progressive cognitive changes. Not remembering the things, not constant cognition means that the psychological process, mental process, which facilitate understanding of the comprehension, memorizations, attention, concentration, all these things are cognition. There are a number of studies, even the Sajid who is showing PPT helping me, his own PhD is based on this only, that the work stress and cognitive changes. And there are many such studies showing this. So the gradual but progressive cognitive changes, if one is noticing that yaar kuch yaad hi nahi pa raha. So, but all these things is based on your observation and not self-report. The person who is cognitive changes, he may not tell you. He may not report you properly, but you have to be very actively observant, and you have to notice yourself also if you are not having such things. Next. if you could give me 5 minutes time, may I take water?
Sir, sure, sure.
Yes, sir. I'm back to. Now, this what I have discussed, it was all on the subjective and your personal experience as a manager, experience as a boss, experience as a teacher, that what are the things you are noticing to your person. Now, as legal practitioners, you will not only take up your case based on expression sake or per se only, that somebody was saying that he has been feeling like this. So you might have to intervene as a professionals to find out some objective information, objective findings. For that, 4 tests, 4 screening test, fast test is available with a psychologist, industrial psychologist, as a person who is working with the setup, might help you out in evaluating the things, because the person may approach you, an employee may approach you that because of work conditions, I am not feeling happy and mental health is impaired and I need compensation, because Compensation Act is not only for physical loss or due to accident or carelessness of the employers. It is also now after enactment of Mental Health Act and Human Rights and the Right of Person with Disability Act, it is also compensation has to be taken care of for the mental health issues as well. So you should at least go for 4 assessment, which you can ask your psychologist or the professionals to provide you. One is anxiety. Anxiety is measurable. Anxiety is measurable. There are a number of scales through which one can measure, one can say that what is the state of anxiety right now. The second is a depression scales. The depression has to be evaluated. Not only that I'm not feeling good, so it is depressed. There are 25, 26, 21 different scales are there to evaluate that area in which the person has to be evaluated. Bipolar means nowadays with this term is again very misused term. Bipolar, everybody says that I'm bipolar. Bipolar is a psychotic conditions, is a major disorders when for no obvious external reasons, but because of biochemical reasons, the person's mood fluctuates from depression to elations. But of course, there is a biochemical, there is a dopamine theory behind this. Neurotransmitters, we call it neurotransmitters, are they responsible for this. But the work stress might exacerbate, might facilitate the bipolar changes in the mental conditions. And dementia. Dementia is the loss of impairment in mental conditions. As I told you, the cognitive changes, the work situation, the stress situation is so severe that the person is feeling cognitive impairment, which is a major change. So there are number of cases, number of tests, which would definitely evaluate the cognitive changes, not only saying कि हमारा मन नहीं लगता, हमारा concentrate नहीं होता, हम याद नहीं रखते, because याद ना रखने वाली complaint तो if you ask anybody that आप कैसे हैं यार, ठीक है मगर हम कुछ याद नहीं रहता. Every child ask mother कि भाई how's your son doing, वो ठीक है पढ़ता होता था, वो कुछ याद नहीं रखता. तो memory is an issue which is being used very loosely by everyone, but memory do not impairs just like that, does not impair just like that. It has the reason, there is an age, there should be the factors. So is the dementia, the impairment in the cognition, impairment in comprehension, impairment in the attention process, remembering, problem solving. All these things should be evaluated, whether it is the condition or the outcome of the work situation or it is otherwise also. Next, Ajit sir. Creating a workplace, protecting mental health. These are the things which I have already said, that you just reverse what the person is not doing. Next, time is there also. I have to see the time factor also. Sajid sir, next. Next. Proactive actions for high risk cases. This is there which the vakil should know, that what proactive actions the employers may call for. Organization has a responsibility to support individuals with mental disorders in either continuing, returning to work. First of all, that there are many detachment, there are many layoff has been taken place because of health issues. As per Mental Health Act, as per Disability Act, no employer can, and the mental illness is also a disability now. You must be knowing this thing, that no employer can get rid of an employee who is having mental issues or disability issues caused by mental illness. He has to continue with the job with the different profiles, with creating a positive environment, and he may go for a long leave, but whenever he is recovered, he has to take back to the work. He has to return to the work. Research shows that unemployment, particularly long-term unemployment, may cause further damage, because the person who has been inducted in the employment in industry with a good mental health, he has to go back with a good mental health. If there is any change, it is the responsibility of employer to see that his situation is properly compensated. If it is treatable, he has to treat. If it is to be compensated by any financial support, he has to be taken care of. Next. Intervention which you may suggest are your because you are in a very different position. You are individual, you are husband, you are wife, you are father, you are a teacher, and you are practitioner, and you are protector of the law. So I'm telling you all this thing. Intervention, early identification is the best way of intervention. जितने early आप किसी चीज को notice करेंगे scientifically, but होता यह है कि हम denial mode पर रहते हैं. बहुत जमाने तक, जब तक कि कोई छोटी सी बात बतंगड़ नहीं बन जाती, ये छोटी सी बात राई का पहाड़ ना बन जाए, मुहावरे के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से नहीं, प्रैक्टिकली जब तक कि उसका साइज बहुत बड़ा ना हो जाए, तब तक हम उसको नोटिस नहीं करते हैं. विद द रिजल्ट हमारे सारे इंटरवेंशन एफर्ट्स जो होते हैं, ट्रीटमेंट प्लान जो होता है, वो उतना इफेक्टिव नहीं हो पाता है. So early identification, when I talk early identification does not mean that आप इंस्ट्रूमेंट की या अपने बच्चे की लाइफ हेल्प कर दीजिए. यार तुमने ऐसा क्यों किया, तुमने वैसा क्यों किया, तुमने वो क्यों किया. You have to be very objective and perpetual in your observations. Preventive counseling is very important, that these are the situations which might leads to problem. So before prevention is a way of checking the onset of disease. It is a medical term. Prevention or hygiene is mental terms, where the disease is to be stopped before it onset takes place. Flexible hours, you should promote, or you should things that continuous work at a stretch may not give you. The fatigue factor would also be there. Mental fatigue is more damaging than the physical fatigue. Physical fatigue के बाद क्या होता है कि आदमी उसका जो स्टेमिना होता है, उसका जो exhaustion हो जाता है, तो quite obvious होता है. Physical fatigue has to be noticed. So before you go for physical fatigue, mental fatigue, monotony may lead to the mental fatigue. So some change, some stimulation is required. job redesigning and addressing negative workplace dynamics, quite okay, and confidential communication with management. Communication should be there and should be confidential. While the dignity of employee, dignity of employer has to be maintained. Unless you ensure the confidentiality, nobody will share with you. One of the most important ethical points of a vakil, and so is the psychologist and the medical practitioner, is the confidentiality. So many people share with you so many things. If you start sharing what will be the fate of that particular person within the next minute is very important. But on the other hand, confidentiality has to be maintained with wisdom. Suppose if somebody is saying that I feel like committing suicide and sharing with the management, and if management is only taking care at the home, at the workplace, and not sharing with them, with the employees, the family members and wife and parents and all these things, and he's going back to the home and there he committing suicide. So this confidentiality in communication is a serious flaw. So we have to use our own wisdom and judgment in sharing the referral to mental health professionals. And if you find that somebody is having that definite indicators, please you refer him to the mental health professional. You know, clinical psychologist, psychiatrist, these are the mental health professional where and available now in both government sector. Your own university is having the facility of this. Whenever you find this thing and you take care of this thing, and your litigations, whenever you get any litigation off from the employee's side or employer side, you must take these mental professional in your confidence, because we have been trained as a licensing psychiatrist as well, where bridging the gaps between individual and professional. Medicine and the law is one of the biggest branch of licensing psychiatry, where we have been getting referrals and trying to support legal practitioners to protect their work. And so it is an interdisciplinary support. Next. So this is the end of it. You have to extend the hand and catch hold the hand. Where your co-scientist and your client are to be very well knit to ensure good mental health. Thank you very much. Next. Thank you very much. Over to Anuj ji as well as Dr.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for this enlightening session. It was a very, really what I observed that it is a very, in today's scenario, it is much required session, sir. It has really added to our knowledge, and definitely it will help in, up to some extent, it will help in handling stress and anxiety at the workplace, sir. Sir, today you have discussed about your lecture was focused towards the psychological well-being, healthy workplace. What are the risks to mental health? You also discussed about 7 indicators of psychological well-being, as well as also 6 warning signs of mental health risks. Definitely, and I think that we will surely put in practice whatever insight you have given. We have got from today's session, sir. Sir, if you permit me, may I take a few questions, sir?
Sure.
Okay, thank you, sir. So the first question is, how can students and faculty of the institute manage stress?
As I told you that the minor stress, minor anxiety is very constructive. First of all, that you have to be very, very vigilant about the changes which you are noticing. One cannot think about free from stress. Only जो मूर्ति चौराहे पर खड़ी रहती है,
जी सर,
उसको स्ट्रेस नहीं होता है कि बारिश हो रही है, धूप आ रही है, उसके कबूतर उस पर बैठ के गंदा कर रहा है, क्या कर रहा है. The person who is lively is a subject of stress. But I have told you that if the stress is within normal limit, enjoy it. It will improve your performance. It will make you more careful. It will make you more productive. But if it is going beyond your stress, and that is why I told you that 7 indicators that if you're not getting proper sleep, not eating, irritation, and all these things, if that thing is there, then you may consult. First, you try to control yourself. There are many, starting from yoga to your spiritual stress management, that is the namaz and puja and part and mantra and all these things. From that point of view to the hobby and the playing with your people, interacting with the person, communication with your own family members, having sit with your family members and talk to them, that itself would be a very good stress resolving. Communicate with your employees, communicate with your family members, all these things. Many times stress causes, because I'm not talking to anything, I have to share something, but I'm not sharing with anybody, which might cause you stress. The moment you talk to, the moment you get a shoulder to weep, to cry, you feel relaxed, you feel free. Everybody needs a dustbin to vomit out. And unless, I'm giving a very simple example, that if you eat something which is not very healthy, you feel like vomiting, nauseatic. And the moment you vomit out, you feel good. But there should be one sink to vomit out.
Sure, sir.
Psychologically, if you have something which is bothering you, you need somebody on which you can share with it, to whom you can throw it off, and you will stress would be relieved. And even if that is not helping you out, then consult a clinical psychologist, and nearest clinical psychologist, your own department of IGAS, you can consult us.
So one more question is there. If someone has committed a crime,
Yes.
and after that he claims that he did it because of some mental illness,
Yes.
like bipolar or schizophrenia.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, in that case, how the case will be dealt, sir?
Sir, there is a very clear, settled matter, that the criminal responsibility of insanity, where at the time of committing suicide,
Yes, sir.
committing crime, what was his mental status? For that, he has to be observed, investigated through a team of mental health experts. Then only anything can be said. Otherwise, there are many cases like Ganson syndromes, where the malingering is there. Then the person is mimicking, because he is aware that perhaps under the mental health conditions, they may get some excuse, some relief from the major punishment. So they start mimicking. And I have seen the number of cases where the person criminal after committing suicide was properly guided by unethical professionals. And he was trained to behave like psychotic. He was trained to behave like a schizophrenic. He was trained to behave like bipolar. But he was finally detected. He was finally identified, evaluated as he was a malinger, and Ganser syndrome is one of those conditions when the prisoners are showing the symptom of mental illness just to get relief out of it. So that cases are there.
Okay, sir. One more question, sir. If a person has some mental illness,
Yes.
will he get some relaxation in job, or there any benefit that the government is providing to people who are mentally ill, sir, in the job?
No,
sir?
there is under Right of Person with Disability Act, where the mental illness is also one of the criteria out of 21 criteria. The job relaxation is only for benchmark, that is hearing impaired, visually impaired, and mental and orthopedically impaired. For mental illness, there is no reservation. But on the other hand, there is a directives that on the basis of mental illness, no employers can reject the person if he is otherwise qualified. And at the time of interview, at the time of appearance before the employment, his mental condition is fit. So 2 years back, he had mild anxiety attack, or he has mild mood swing. He would be debarred as job, or stigma attached to this. That is not legally permissible. But of course, there is no reservation for sickness.
Mental. Okay, sir. Two more questions are there. If
Yes,
a juvenile, yes, sir, please. If a juvenile delinquent commits a heinous crime, the Juvenile Justice Act says he could be tried as an adult.
That
Under
has,
what?
That is a settled matter in the terms of Nirbhaya case.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Where the age of juvenile will not be decided by the psychological, by the physical age.
Yes, sir.
The mental age has to be evaluated. If the mental age is of 18 and above, he would be tried out as per any other adult cases, because it is the mind which makes a person commit a crime and not the physical age. So in that case, it is the matter is settled. There is no problem into that. We get number of cases of evaluating the mental age of the children who has committed the crime.
Yes, yes, sir. So last question, sir. One of our colleagues asked, sir, how to tackle our anxiety in a simplest way? In a simple way, how can we tackle anxiety, sir?
You simply take 5 breaths and recite some mantra. It will help you out.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for this enlightening session. Now,
Welcome, sir. Welcome.
okay, just give me. Director, sir. Sir, one question that I can ask,
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Depression and anxiety, sir, is increasing with in today's scenario, sir, at the workload. At the
Yes.
workplace, it is increasing day by day, whether a
Yes.
student or whether a senior person
Yes,
is there.
yes.
How can we, sir, how psychology will help, sir, in dealing with this anxiety and depression, sir?
You see that there's a long discussion required. If it is within in spite of some anxiety and depression, you are working. So there is no issue, because the best parameter is functional impairment. If in spite of all these things you are working, you are performing, it's fine. But if it is coming on your way of performance,
Yes,
you
sir.
might have to consult professional who would help you out to manage and maintain your anxiety level within your normal limits. There are some mild drugs also. There are exercises. There are relaxation techniques. JPR is a very effective technique, which we may help you out. But if it is beyond your point and you are at the breaking point, when you think that your functional impairment is taking place, because mild anxiety and depression has become the part of lifestyle. So that is not anymore. It is a new normal things, that mild anxiety and mild depression would always be there. And anxiety, depression is interrelated. But if it is impairing your day-to-day functioning, your socializations, your personal life, your sex life, and all these things, that might require your professional support.
Sir, one last question is that, sir, can stress leads to stomach or bowel syndrome related problems?
Yes,
One
very
of our
much.
colleagues has asked this question.
Psychosomatic illnesses are there, and you know the mind and body are two different things, but it works together. So if stress is too much, it might lead to different enzymes and neurotransmitters, which might damage your digestion system, that might damage your other physiological mechanisms, and that is going together. And many a time that physical symptom, which is of very obvious, like blood pressure as well as diabetes and all this thing, it has exaggerated by the mental status. And that is why ideal treatment is both, where the psychotherapy as well as the medicine is given together. And number of research shows that when the clinical psychologist has been involved, and that is why we have a behavioral medicine, a specialized branch, that how to help the person who is otherwise under medical treatment. And it's a very effective branch. Yes, it is there. And this condition is called as psychosomatic conditions.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Due to some technical reason, our director, sir, is not able to join.
No issue.
Okay. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. First and foremost, I am thankful to our guest for this technical session, Professor S.Z.H. Jayadi, sir, Zafar Jayadi, sir, who despite his busy schedule has found time to deliver this lecture. We are thankful to you, sir. Sir, we believe that your thought will give a new directions to our law faculty as well as students. We will also get benefit. I am thankful to our director, ALS, Professor J.P. Yadav, sir, for his support and encouragement in organizing this FDP. I am also thankful to all the members of the organizing committee, Dr. A.K. Singh, Dr. Reshma, Dr. Jyoti Yadav, and also thankful to the students for their support in organizing this FDP. On this occasion, I am thankful to all the participants who attend this lecture and express their thoughts and make this event a successful event. Thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.